The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Okay, cool. Hello, everyone in webinar land. My name is Chris, and I'm here with Jessica.
Hello.
And we are doing our webinar on how to find and create awesome photos for free. I hope you're very excited. Thank you for attending. And what we're going to do today is go over all the basics of making new imagery for your website and for your social media and awesome resources to do all that. And we're going to go through the slide right now. Obviously, you have a lot of questions, and this isn't our first rodeo. We've done plenty of webinars, so we gathered already frequently asked questions like, how do I ask a question on this crazy platform known as GoToWebinar? You just have to type your question into the field. We'll see the question and answer them later, which brings me to my next point. Will there be Q&A after the webinar? There sure will be, and we'll look at all those questions. And if you tweet us questions too, we will look at that. If you want a copy of the webinar, you sure will get one by email after the webinar ends. And the most popular question is always, is this webinar going to be awesome? And oh, you bet it is. So our host, that's me on the left. My name's Chris. I'm the marketing coordinator, and I'm here with Jessica, our compliance representative, who also has a background in graphic design, so she's perfect for this. And like I mentioned on Twitter, you can ask us questions at Pinfotech. So tweet away, and we'll get to your questions at the end of the webinar. So today what we'll learn is where to find free photos online and how to customize free photos online, how to make free photos from scratch, and legal and design tips. So we're going to cover all the basics, like I said, and we're just going to jump right into this with where to find free photos. So a lot of agents ask me and Jessica all the time. We get these emails. How do I find pictures? I Google pictures. Like, can I use them legally? We're going to get through all of that today. And some resources that we rely on for images that are usually safe to use, they don't have any copyright licenses attached to them. They exist on commons.wikipedia.org/wiki-main_page. So if you just type in that link in the URL, you will go to basically a Wikipedia gallery of all these photos that have different licenses. So there's requirements as to how you can use them, if you can use them commercially or personally, and we'll go over those differences in a bit, but that's one resource we use. Another is a website called Pexels.com, and that's a source to find the same sort of pictures with different licenses, and same with Unsplash. So these three I use because they're broad. They don't just cater to one industry like insurance or I don't know, hipsters or something. Not that that's an industry, but like they are always looking for pictures online to use. So we basically gathered some awesome places for you to find pictures, and a whole bunch of pictures are available to you on Wikipedia Commons. This is what it looks like. They have a picture of the day, and it's basically like Wikipedia. You can search for it and you'll find, if you just look at the top, 27 million media files. Another one, Pexels, is what it looks like. It's stock photos, but not geared towards any particular industry, so you can find anything. And you just have to be creative when you use stock photos, because obviously they're not already made with something in mind to use them for, like a flyer for car insurance. You just might find a car, so you have to take your creative spin at it once you find the picture. And then Unsplash is the last one. This is cool because you can receive emails of 10 new photos every 10 days, so you don't really need to do any research on their website. You can just get these galleries sent to you automatically. So those are cool. Have you used any of these, Jessica? Are you familiar with other, you know, photo source websites that they should start typing into their computer right now?
I've used a couple of these. They're all really great resources. There are definitely a bunch of different stock photography websites available online. And if anyone would like access to some of those, they can always give me a call and I'd be more than happy to email them over to them. But the cool thing about some of these stock photo websites is because there are so many of them, there's a lot of photographers, both professional and amateur, who put their photos up on these websites for you guys to use as long as you give credit where credit is due. And we'll get into that at the end of the webinar too.
Right. And like at the top of this, it says free, do whatever you want. These websites that I just showed you have free photos. You don't need to sign up for, a subscription, and you just, like we keep reiterating, have to be careful with how you use the pictures. So, since we've shown you those resources really quickly, we will share these slides with you towards the end, so you'll have them, on your computer saved whenever you want to use them. But we'll show you how to make free photos now. So, we're just flying through this because we know this is a super popular question. People are really anxious to create original photos to make their website more optimized, to make their social media page look more engaging. So this is what we're doing for you today. We're going to start with how to customize free photos with a website that we like to use, and we've mentioned a bunch of times in our blog. They've mentioned us before. We like working together and advertising each other, and they are called Canva. So you go to canva.com, and it looks like this, and it's really helpful. It's a drag and drop website where you can upload pictures or create pictures from scratch and drag and drop versions of each picture into your image that you're creating and add layers to it and text and logos and all that stuff. And it shows you where you can create these pictures for your Pinterest or your Facebook cover photo, your profile photo, your Twitter cover. They have all these templates that are sized to meet the dimensions that are necessary for these different social media platforms, so you don't need to resize them or guess or look up what these dimensions are. It's already done for you. So like I said, it's going to be a lot of drag and drop, and we're going to show you how to do this right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this website called Canva. We have an account, and it's free to use. The only reason why you want to sign up so you have an account to log into is that you'll be able to save your projects as you create them, and they'll all be, archived, so you can pull old ones and edit them from the past and optimize them and add your new logo or what have you. So that's why you want to create a profile, but it doesn't cost you anything. So what we're going to do is the first thing we're going to create is just a Facebook cover photo. And while we do that, we're just going to listen to the AC in the background. It is keeping us cool in California because we need it. It was the triple degrees last year. Nope, last week. And last year probably, who knows. So we really need it. So don't mind the background noise. That sounds like Antarctica. So this is, like I said, a Facebook cover template. It's already made in Canva. I didn't do anything to this, but I'm about to show you what you can do. So let's say that you're selling auto insurance in the next month. You probably hear all the time people need to optimize their cover photo. They've had a Christmas photo from 7 years ago still up there, and you obviously want to tell them keep updating your pictures, right?
Yes, we always try and keep the pictures fresh and relevant to whatever's happening for you right now or in the future, whatever products or holidays or seasons are going on right now. It's definitely always a good idea to keep, especially your Facebook's cover photo, new and fresh too.
Right.
Don't forget that one.
There's so many followers you probably have that get sick of looking at your picture. I know that happens to us, so we have to update our photo regularly. So I'm just going to show you an example right now. I've already uploaded a picture from some of the aforementioned websites. I think I got this from Wikipedia Commons. So this is just a picture that was free to use, just a couple driving. And as you can see, I just drag and dropped it into this field, and I can move it around and I can size it, and it doesn't lose any quality when I do this. Obviously, there's a limit to how huge you can grow an image before it becomes pixelated. So you just have to kind of be mindful of how it looks after you save it and just take a look at it, see if it came out in nice quality. But for this, it's a small template and it's a pretty large image, so I can size it and still maintain, higher quality. So I'll just kind of like move it here. I can see there's some white space over here, so I got to grow it a little bit more. But see how easy this is? Now we have like this whole picture taking up the box. And I want to show some of the humans, but I also kind of want to show that sunroof because it looks pretty cool. So I'm just going to leave it here. Obviously, I don't promote you driving while using your cell phone like this guy is. Maybe you can find something funny to mention about that in your text when you're adding something, which we're going to do right now. Let me show you. You just go to the sidebar right here where it says text, and you have these different headings that you can choose from, and they're different sizes, or they have these pre-made suggestion headings that you can just kind of drag and drop to. This one is orange, kind of like the sun, so I'm going to use this. But you can also change the color. So see how cool that is? I can drag and drop. It's right there. If I want to change the color, I can do that. But first I just have to let go. So the color is orange. If you want, you can make it blue, you can make it white, or you just press the plus sign and you can change it to whatever color you want and just drag it around. Now this is interesting, and I know, Jessica, you hear this from compliance all the time about the farmer's logo and how they can use it. So there are color schemes that farmers prefers, you use on some of your collateral, some of your advertisement, even what you promote on Facebook. So you might be restricted to what colors you can use. We'll go over that in a bit, and all the design tips and legal tips that we have, and the farmer's tips. But for now, I'll just stick to this orange. And you want to type something that tells a little bit about what your business is. So I'm just going to say like, striving for some driving. And then you can say or that's too long. Get a quote. Now you can see you have to be smart about what you want to type without taking over too much of the picture or covering up all these beautiful faces. So you can say, get a quote now. And you can just kind of position it however way you want. But for now, I'll just like put it here. But as you can see, that was pretty easy to do. And I can really do anything, like add the farmer's logo if I wanted. I don't know if that's compliant. I bet Jessica knows.
Farmers is really, really touchy about using the logo. And for the most part, when it comes to the cover photo on Facebook and anything relating to social media, they are very picky about not using the farmer's logo. But if you want to use the farmer's logo, you can. You just need to contact agency marketing or brand muscle and make sure that they approve the photo that you're trying to put there.
So maybe I'll just remove this just to make it simple. So I'll do that. Get auto insurance. Now, maybe that's more applicable so they understand you're selling auto insurance. But there, you have the idea of what you can do. You can obviously change the picture so that it stands out more. This is just an example. Maybe I want to make this lettering white or something, who knows. But anyway, you have something cool to work with that was super basic. It took us fewer than 5 minutes just to make that. We'll do something a little more sophisticated next. So if you need to make a cover photo for your Facebook, you can do that really easily. And with those websites that we mentioned earlier, you can find photos from there. What we're going to do next is continue the slide because I want to create a picture from scratch now. We just drag and drop some existing photo and made a cover photo with that, but we want to make free photos from scratch. So in order to do that, we'll go back to Canva, but if you're making pictures from scratch, you need to know like what colors are you going to use? Are they going to look well together? Like to basically validate that, you go to this website called Paleton. And Jessica, you suggested this because of your background in design. I'll show you how to use this in a bit, or you can show us since you're
Sure.
way more familiar. But it's basically, you have your color scheme. This is the color red. Farmers has a specific color, red, that they prefer, or you basically have to use it. So they don't prefer it, they require you use it. But if you want to know what colors complement others, you just type in the color code, which will show you how to do. This is down. This might be the color code here, but I'm not familiar with this particular shade of red and what the color code is. But it'll show you all the complementary colors that go with it. These little lighter pinks and darker reds go well together. And as you drag in, this little circle around, and these circles around, you can choose all varieties of colors. So if you bring it over to yellow, it'll show you complementary purple colors. So that's how that works. But I just want to bring that up to you really quickly because we're going to mention more about farmers' colors and what they suggest in a bit. But this will help us create a photo from scratch. So what I'm going to do is, let's just make a flyer. We're going to make a flyer from scratch. And as you can see, they have like all these documents. You can make like a letterhead if you want to customize your the mail that you send to clients and whatnot, but we're just going to make a flyer. So this is going to be, again, out of Canva. And this is just a blank slate, so we're going to create from scratch. If you want, instead of choosing like what color you want the background to be, like red or green or something, Canva has these cool background that are kind of shaded and have a gradient to them. So they have a little more texture and it looks cooler. This one's polka dot, this one's stripes. What I'm going to do is make a renter's insurance flyer since it's around college season and a lot of renter's insurance policies are going out. So I'll just make like this blue. Actually, I'll make like a cooler blue, like the sky. There, that is a nice blue. So we're going to work with this. How am I going to make a renter's insurance flyer? Oh, I'll show you. So up top of Canva, there's a search. You can type anything you want, like balloons, and it will show you all these balloons. Some of them are free, some of them are $1. Like I said, it's free to create a Canva account. Some pictures require you to pay for them, which is why we reference those earlier websites to get those free pictures, so you have to pay. So I don't want to use any of those pictures. I don't really need balloons. So what I instead want to do is look for some of their pre-existing illustrations, since a lot of them they'll change each season. Since it was recently 4th of July, they have hot dogs and Star Spangled Banner popsicles and root beer, let's just say that is, and all these crazy things. So if I want renter's insurance, I probably need to find a rent sign. So there's one. So I literally just drag and dropped it and shrunk it. And I'll just position that so it's a little better to see. And why not have a key? Because you need a key to get into your apartment. So I'll just put that right here. And then, ooh, I still see balloons. I don't want balloons. I mean, I would love balloons, but don't get me wrong. So we're going to go back to where we were. Let's add a cat, because some people need to keep their pets when they move, and depending on where they live, they have to find somewhere else to live or find somewhere else for their cat to live. So I'm just going to make a cat purple, I guess. Everyone's seen a purple cat, right? And then purple and red. It is a rare cat. You have some cats, right, Jessica?
I have 5 cats. I have way too many cats.
Is there one for each hue of the rainbow?
There's one for each of my favorite Marvel characters.
Oh, okay. Like Professor Xavier and
That's my
Spider-Man and
dog.
all those ones. Very nice. So we just put a cat, an apartment, a rental sign, and a key. So we're getting there. We obviously want to make this a little cooler. Again, with the balloons, I don't want them.
Canva really likes balloons today.
They do. The problem is I'm using my laptop and not my mouse. So as I showed you just a minute ago, my mouse recently broke. So I have to use my little slider thing.
So for all of the illustrations, you can change the colors that appear on there, like you did with the cat.
Oh, yeah.
So if you wanted to make that apartment building like green and yellow, you could do that
Oh, for sure.
to go with whatever color scheme you choose.
Yeah, like I want to find a tree or something. I'll just make like the moon. I guess it'll be nighttime. I was going to look for a sun. I know they have a sun. But for the purpose of this webinar, we'll just make it nighttime. And we'll put a satellite over there. Why not? So this is just to show you like what cool possibilities you can make for your flyer. We're going to title this something like "Got Renters Insurance?" ? And then we'll just put it up top where they can see it. And we want to have some sort of text. This, you can change the text as well. You can make it like that, which is hard to read. So I'll just keep it simple with Times New Roman. And you can also change the colors. Same here. But that's hard to read, so we'll change it back. So you've got renter's insurance, and then for a flyer, you might say something like, if you're renting a house or apartment and you think your landlord is financially responsible when there is a fire, theft, or other catastrophe, think again. So this little flyer is going to tell them a little bit about what renter's insurance is, and then you can resize it so that they can read it. And then, of course, you want to make some sort of call to action, like get a free quote. So I'll make that legible. Let's see. Go away. And then get a free quote. I'm not selling fairy stories, I'm selling insurance, so I'll put my number, 555. And see how easy this is? You just click on each word and it'll select it and let you type whatever you want instead. Just sometimes you got to move these little drop downs, like that color thing wouldn't go away a second ago, so I had to click it to get rid of it. Get a free quote. Actually, I don't want anything there. So now I have this. Get a free quote. Let me just move that satellite out of the way. Always moving the satellites. So cool. Get a free quote. That is a crazy looking flyer, but that's why I don't sell insurance. But it just shows you all the possibilities you can do, and you can make them fun. This satellite should be rotated. There. That'd be pretty cool. Now you have, and that's another trick you can do. You can just rotate it by clicking on this rotation arrow. So there you go. There's a flyer for that. If you wanted, we'll add our logo. And then you know who did the flyer. So that is a crazy looking flyer. It has a purple cat. That's all I need to say. But that is how you make a flyer, and one from scratch in Canva. There are obviously like other ways to do this other than the flat cartoons that we just used. We can upload those other professional looking pictures with the car for that Facebook cover photo like I showed you. But actually, now that I remember, we talked about colors and how you have to use specific codes. We'll go over that in a second, but just so you know how to do it in Canva, you can type in the color code right here. It's 6 characters. Like for example, 0000 is black, and FFFFF is white. And you'll figure out like what other I don't know what, if this is even a real code. This is, I just made up a random code, but apparently is the color red. It's actually pretty close to farmer's red, coincidentally. So, but you'll figure out how to use these color codes soon enough, and that's just how you do it. You just click on the image, and then you can change the color here, and you type the code here. So that's how you do that. And if you want to save it, you just download it. The highest quality file type is PNG, so choose that usually, and then you're done. So we just created a flyer from scratch, and we will continue the webinar with a poll, actually. Does everybody know what time it is? Poll time! Okay, so now we're going to come to the poll, which means we're getting close to the end of the webinar. But we still have plenty more tips for you. It's just, getting close to the end. So our poll for you today is right here. And it asks, if a website had low quality, unflattering, or outdated pictures, how likely would you buy from it? Would you be very likely to buy from a website that had low quality pictures, somewhat likely, not very likely, or would you never buy anything from a website that had low quality, unflattering, outdated pictures such as Christmas 2001 when it's 2015? I mean, that's pretty outdated. So I would be afraid that if I was buying from a bakery that they would sell me outdated cookies, so I would probably search somewhere else. So the polls are coming to a close. We're getting a lot of similar answers that we expected. And should we close the poll? Now's the time? Okay, cool. I like it. Now, 0% of you said very likely, which is very true. These are the results. This purple bar is the winner. Not very likely, 58% of you. Somewhat likely, you're optimistic, so you hope that the pictures don't define the business. That's 2%. And never, almost half of you would never, including myself, I would never buy some, thing from a website that didn't even know how to upload real nice looking pictures on it. So that was poll time for you. And now it's coming to that time where we go over the legal and design tips, which can be fun, surprisingly. We aren't lawyers. We'll make this fun.
We'll try our best.
That's right. Jessica knows the compliance, so she will cover all that and the design, and I can press the slide button that shows this next psychology of color, which, if you're familiar with the concept of the color red, boiling the blood, or the color blue, like calming the mind, or for instance, in Europe, I forget which country, they painted their prison cells pink because they discovered that it calmed the prisoners. So these are the psychologies of color. If you have a yellow logo, these are the brands that use these colors. You're evoking optimism and clarity and warmth. And if you use orange, then you're friendly and cheerful and confident. So think about it. Like if you're optimistic that you're going to get your package in time, you'll see UPS's yellow golden logo and you're going to be happy and you're going to have a warm feeling inside. And same with Subway. Maybe it'll be a warm feeling inside after you eat their sub. I don't know. But then if you're, looking at Nickelodeon, then they're friendly and cheerful. And Amazon uses orange as well. Same with, I don't know about Harley Davidson if they're very friendly. Those bikers.
It's a confidence thing.
That's
Orange is
right.
confidence.
That's right. My dad uses one, so he's pretty cheerful. And then excitement is red. That's like Nintendo. That's super exciting. Coca-Cola. You know you get excited after you drink a Coca-Cola. And then if you use purple in your logo, like Yahoo or Sci-Fi, you're creative, you're imaginative, you're wise. Barbie's wise. You know, Barbie was a scientist. She can be any profession, so she's very imaginative with her career path and wise. And trust can be built if you use the color blue in your logo. Facebook is pretty trustworthy. I mean, you are suggested friends that you want to use, and you already know them, so you trust them. You like them on Facebook. AT&T, Hewlett Packard, those are tech companies that you obviously want to be dependable and strong, so they use the color blue to evoke that. Peaceful is green. They use the color for health and growth, like John Deere. I mean, you don't want your grass to grow that much, so they're just reminding you to mow it down with their green logo. Whole Foods is healthy, so they obviously have a green logo. And then balance is with gray. It evokes neutrality and calmness. So with Apple having a gray logo, they're very neutral. They can appeal to all types of people. Same with Wikipedia. It covers a wealth of knowledge for every country in the world, so they're very neutral and balanced. And even the yin yang, I mean, look at that. It is black and white together, that makes gray. So there you go. That's the psychology of color in a nutshell. Not sure why I pressed the present mode. I need more purple in my life to be wiser.
You're wearing purple today, though.
That's true. What am I doing? Okay, so.
And there's a lot that goes into color, too. Like if you think of branding, colors are very important to branding. That's why there's all these brands on this slide. But there's a lot more into the psychology of color, too, in terms of advertising, where something like black usually is sleek and futuristic, or something red, yellow, orange is like food. It evokes emotions of hunger as well as boldness. That's why also if you see something like a sale, it's a red tag, or stop is red because it's alerting. So just keep colors in mind when you are creating visuals. Photos are really important. Visuals are really important. So one tip for in terms of color is try and be consistent. Try to keep it all like in the same realm. Don't use too many colors because then you're just going to overwhelm someone's eyeballs.
That's right. And, you know, it's interesting because, like, if you look at the top, there's NBC, Google, and Windows and eBay. I'm not sure about diversity.
They represent diversity.
Oh, okay. The word diversity is what they represent. I see.
Yes.
See, I'm telling you, the purple. I need that more in my life. So, yeah, those combine all of these characteristics of the logo colors. So they were pretty greedy. They just couldn't settle on one color. But they're like, listen, we cover all of our bases. We're warm, we're cheerful, we're confident. And like Jessica said, that depending on how you use the color, if you have a quote button that's red, it might alert them to pay attention to it. If you have a yellow quote button, that they may not be able to read the lettering that you put on the quote button. So just the psychology of color is one thing. You have to think of the practicality of using the color also. So use this as kind of your, in the back of your head, why people react to certain colors in certain ways, but just think of the practical implementations of how you use the colors as well. So, and I skipped a little ahead earlier, so I hope it didn't spoil the surprise, but this is the copyright license that I was mentioning earlier. The Creative Commons is a nonprofit organization that dishes out creative licenses for artists, and if you see 0 next to the copyright, it means that you can use it freely without any commercial or personal boundaries. So look for that, and next to each image there will be a copyright code, and it will tell some of the details to that. So I don't need to go over all that, but you just need to keep it in the front of your mind when you're using pictures, that you're not just going on Google and taking pictures willy-nilly, not knowing where it came from. You actually want to do some of the research on those websites we mentioned and look at the copyright codes so you make sure that you're using them legally in the proper way. And this is what Jessica's going to have a lot of insight about. We did not have a PDF of this because Farmers just gave us a printout that we took a picture of it, but it's cool. I mean, we still made it work. But as you can see, they have the color codes, otherwise known as hex codes, here. So you just type in these 3 numbers into Canva, which I showed earlier where to do that, and you'll populate this farmer's blue or this farmer's red or light blue or dark red. So do you see like people using this usually in the proper way, or you're shaking your head no? So
no, Farmers is really particular about their colors, but mostly in terms of their logo. So when it comes to colors, if you're doing something like Chris showed you earlier, creating a flyer, you want to do your own fun advertising on your social media or on your website, feel free to use whatever colors you feel best represent what you're trying to make a flyer about. But if you are putting that logo anywhere, make sure that these colors are the ones that you're using for that logo, because I know some of you might be more advanced than others. You may pull the logo into Photoshop and be like, this picture has so much red and blue in it, I want to make the logo green and white. Farmers would be like, no, stop sign, don't do it.
Red stop sign.
Red stop sign. So they have their own brand of colors here. You can see their Farmers blue, Farmers red, Farmers light blue, Farmers dark red. And feel free to use these colors as well creatively in the things that you create too, because these are Farmers branded colors. So when people see these colors, they might think Farmers, because these are the colors that are all over the place associated with their company. So just keep in mind for the logo especially, Farmers colors only. And then there are also, on the next slide, all of these regulations for the Farmers logo. So it needs to maintain specific spacing, font, colors, backgrounds, all sorts of things. There's a limit to the creativity that you can do with the Farmers logo specifically. And I don't want to go over each of these individually because there's quite a few of them.
And you can see.
Yeah, you'll be able to have access to these in the slides when you get them either by email or if you downloaded them from GoToWebinar. But just make sure that you're not adding any weird effects to it. You're not separating Farmers Insurance from the little shield and sunburst that's above it. And when you're putting it in photos, like when Chris was showing you the photo earlier with the Facebook cover photo, and you wanted to insert that logo in there, just make sure that you're careful not to put the logo on something that's too busy where it's going to obstruct the logo. And then if you're using the logo in anything relating to social media, it's always a good idea to give it over to Brand Muscle or agency marketing. They're one and the same, so they'll check it over for you. They'll let you know whether or not it can be approved. And it's always better to be safe than sorry, so definitely do that. I know that if you are on social media and you have Hearsay Social, for example, Hearsay offers a bunch of stuff that's already approved by Farmers, so that stuff's all good to go. But we're really trying to encourage you to creatively make your own things, and just always double check with Farmers first before you get into any kind of trouble with them, because you don't want the slap from Farmers on the hand for misusing their logo.
No slaps on the hand, please.
No. We
We also have some interesting statistics that we wanted to mention during the poll, but we got very excited by the coming slides that we just kind of flew past it. But, the answer that you gave us was what we expected when you don't buy from a website that has low quality looking images. And some of that is, just because of how your brain reacts to images and processes those things and judges them. I mean, you use half of your brain when you, take on visuals to begin with, and 90% of info that's transmitted to the brain is visual. So obviously, if you have something distasteful that's visual on your website, that's going to instantly trigger a reaction from the viewer more so than whatever text you put on there or the context of your entire website. They're going to just narrow in on the imagery. So really, it's super important that your images are on point. And with these, best practice tips that we just went over, you can achieve that. So
Fun facts. 40% of people respond better to visual aids, and images have double the recall rate of text. So if you have some kind of text associated with the photo, or you're just using a photo graphic, kind of like the one that Chris created earlier, people are more likely to remember that than if they're reading just a blanket of text. They're not going to be able to remember all of those details. And on top of that, our brain processes images 60,000 times faster than text anyways. So someone is more apt to see visual things and be more interested, and they're going to process that information faster. It's more visually appealing, it's aesthetically pleasing, and they don't have to really put a whole lot of work into looking at it because it's more fun to look at.
Exactly. So those are fun facts to remember. Next time we'll make them visual so that you'll absorb them easier. But that's just what we learned today. I mean, we'll wrap it up with those statistics that ironically are not pictures, but today we learned where to find those free photos, and in the slides that we'll email to you, you can have those websites on hand so you can use them whenever you want. How to customize free photos. We went over that with the cover photo and Facebook. How to make free photos from scratch. We did a renter's insurance flyer with a purple cat. There's no way you can forget that. And legal and design tips we also covered.
I have a couple more design tips for people who are interested.
Oh, yes.
So with a background in not only graphic design, but I also have a background in photography as well. So a couple of things that I wanted to remind people to keep in mind is to make sure that when you're creating photos, simple is best. Keep it minimal. Don't overcrowd anything with too much information. And don't use too many colors. Don't use too many font styles because all of that gets really distracting. It would take people away from the main point and the main purpose of what you're trying to create. So with that, embrace negative space. Don't be afraid of keeping some open space on there, and like I said, just keeping it simple. And then also don't be afraid of feedback. If you create something, you put it on Facebook and someone says, I really don't like this, you know not to do that next time. Don't be upset about it. It's a learning process. Most of you probably don't have any kind of design experience or photography experience or anything like that, and this is all really new to you. So don't be afraid of getting feedback from people before or after you're posting or creating photos. And then another higher level tip is something we call the rule of thirds. So your eyes are naturally drawn to certain places on an image. If you were to take a photo and break it down with 3 lines going in one way, 3 different sections, vertically and horizontally, wherever you would draw those lines is where your eyes are going to be drawn to. So for example, even the picture that is on the screen right now, if I were to draw 2 imaginary lines one way and 2 imaginary lines the other way and just center all of them so it's an even amount of space, the bridge that we're seeing here, the steps would take up about 1/3 of the photo. So you can see like this is a visually pleasing photo.
Yay.
Because of that. That's just kind of like a high level rule. But that being said, for those of you who have questions, now is the time to ask.
That's right. Oh yeah, those are the resources. So use those, but we have some questions. So
Okay.
what do we have, Jessica?
Ooh,
Oh, sorry.
you're
I'm just
banging
gonna,
into me over
I'm
here,
gonna
Chris.
battle you with my chair.
We don't normally fight with our chairs here at Pioneer Infotech, but sometimes wars happen. Okay. Question number 1. How can I get or find the farmers with the clear background? That way I could put it in the corner of a good picture.
Do we have that? I know that I made one.
The best place for this would be to contact agency marketing,
Mhm.
because with agency marketing, they're going to be the official yes or no resource for anything relating to your own personal marketing. So what we're going to do is I'm going to get you guys that phone number, and actually it's already been chatted out to you, but just in case some of you haven't seen it, they can be reached at 800-913-1016 or by email at agentmarketingsupport.com.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, we'd love to just share you ours, but there's an extra, regulation that we just need to abide by, which is getting it from the right people and not just the creative picture users like we are.
Yes. Question number 2. I tried to upload a digital picture to my farmer's website yesterday, but it was too big. It was over 4 megabytes. Is there any way to get the pic under 4 megabytes? So there's a couple of things here. There's some online resources that you can use. Usually, even if you just Google a picture resizer or how do I resize my picture on Google, there's all these really cool free websites that allow you to do that directly through there. Or if you want, you can do what we do here, which is the simplest program on Microsoft is Paint. We upload photos into Paint. There's a resize button in there. You can reduce it by a percentage. Usually if it's over 4 megabytes, I like to reduce it by 25%. Save it, try it again. If it still won't upload, keep reducing it by another 25% until it fits. But if for some reason that still isn't working for you or it's still too hard, by all means, give us a call. We'd be more than happy to assist you in changing it and even help upload it for you.
Good questions, though.
How do we take any of the photos we make and actually place them on our website or Facebook page, etc.? Chris, you want to handle this question?
Yeah, so after you, like for example, on Canva, I chose download and then it'll save the image as, a certain quality file. The highest quality is what I always choose so that I can use it anywhere. And then once I, want to use it on Facebook, let's say, you log into your personal page on Facebook, which is attached to your business page. And then all you have to do is switch to your business page when you're logged in, and you'll see your cover photo and your profile photo each have a transparent camera icon on the top left-hand corner, and that's indicating that you can select a new picture for it by clicking on that icon. Pop-up window will show up and say, do you want to upload a picture? You say yes, and then you'll choose from wherever that photo lives on your computer, if it's on your desktop or if it's in your My Pictures folder or your Downloads folder. You just choose wherever it is, and then you click upload, and then that's how you add it. It's a little different for when you have to add pictures to your agency website, right?
It is. I hate to make you go through this all over again.
Yeah.
Can we get a visual on the webinar of maybe an example of how to do that with Canva so they can see where they would go to download and save?
Like go just do it right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Good idea now that I have it. So this flyer, for example, with this crazy looking color scheme that hopefully no one ever uses, we're going to just download it here.
What a pretty download bar.
That's right. So then you do that.
Oh, so it even gives you the option to post it or tweet it. Do you have to have an account set up with them in order to do that?
Oh, on Canva?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I haven't really created without making a account just because I wanted to use the everything that I made in the past. I possibly could repurpose it. So I created an account to make sure it's all saved, and I would just do the same thing. I wouldn't risk it by like making a photo and then losing it down the road because you didn't have an account set up. Just create a free account and then save it. And then, like I said, you just have to go to your Facebook and follow those like tips that I just mentioned.
Okay. And then if anybody has any questions or they want a more visual walkthrough of that, you can give our support team a call. We can actually do a screen share with you and we can walk through the steps doing that together so that you're familiar with it, and we can teach you to do it yourself. And the same thing goes for the website. So with the website, if you want to upload photos into there, what you would need to do, log into your website manager. You're going to want to click on the My Website tab up at the very top. That's going to open up the different sections of the website that you can add unique content to. And then from there, you just click to edit any of those different sections. It's going to give you a little gray box where you can upload a photo. Depending on which version of the website manager you're in, it should give you either a find photo or find file or search, or it'll give you a little purple button with a white arrow in it so that you can search the files on your computer. And then from there, you just save it, and then it'll come to us, and we can go over it. Is there a stock Farmers logo that is already approved and we can use on our social media sites? So again, the best thing to do for that would be to contact agency marketing or Brand Muscle so that they can get you the files on that. I'm sure that they have plenty to give out to agents for stuff like that. That would be the best place to find it, especially because there's so many regulations in terms of the spacing around the logo and the size of the logo, etc. So I would contact them. I can one more time give out their number and their email at the end of this just so that you guys have it, and they should be able to answer any questions you have about the logo in particular.
Let's see. What other questions do we have?
The same person also wondered if there was an approved logo to use to upload into Canva or other sites. So you can upload your own photos into Canva to use the way that Chris did. A lot of the stuff that he had on there, like our Pioneer Infotech logo, he put into Canva on his own. So you can do that with the Farmers logo once you actually get it from agency marketing.
Okay, let's see if we can find some unique questions.
When making the photos for your website, can you make transparent lettering?
Well, you can, just not on the platforms that we just showed you today. Transparent lettering, I'm not quite sure what you mean, because if it's transparent, you can see through it. Maybe if it has like that sort of texture effect, it'd look cool. But that you would need something like Photoshop or Illustrator. There's also a free tool called GIMP, G-I-M-P, that has like a weird brown fox for a logo. But you can use that. It's like a free version of Photoshop. And if whoever's asking the question, you can email Jessica or you can email someone from support, and I can take that question on in more detail, because it's kind of difficult to make a transparent text or image if you haven't used the platforms I just mentioned before. So I can walk you through it. It just takes a few extra steps, but there's not the ability to do that on Canva yet. It's still a new platform. They were just in beta mode a few months ago, and we were one of the first companies to start promoting them and talking about them online all the time. So we love them, but I think they'll come up with that capability soon. It's just not there yet.
In terms of text on Canva, do you know if there's a way to create text that is like outline only?
No, Canva is more like you pick one solid color for your text.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we receive a copy of this presentation? Yes, everybody will get a copy of the presentation by email. Once everything's all done, you should get it either this week or next week. Someone is requesting that we please put up the first 3 websites for photos again.
Oh, sure. So these are the resources in general, but the photo ones are back here. Let's see. Look at this awesome webinar we just went through. So the resources are here. The commons.wikipedia is the hugest resource you can use. And they also have a lot of different versions of copyright, so you need to be very careful how you use them. Pexels is usually 0 copyright license, so you can use them for free. commercially, and Unsplash is the same. You can use them free because so many are just zero copyright. So these are the three that we covered. And I know there's more. There's plenty more, like Jessica said. You can Google them, but these are the ones we like to use.
Yeah, there's quite a few out there. If you just do a quick Google search for free stock photography, there's a whole bunch. Just be careful. Some of them are paid websites. Some of them require a subscription.
Yeah, these
And
ones
then,
are free.
Yeah, some of them also, you just have to be careful of like the disclaimers and the legal stuff with each website because, like I said earlier in the webinar, some also just request that you credit the photographer when you use their photo. Our next question is, if we create a print document or an image to be used online that does not include the farmer's logo, does that still need to be passed through agency marketing for approval first before use? To my knowledge, no. They're really just particular about the farmer's logo. So that's the one you want to be really, really careful with. If you want to create something that does not include the logo, I would say go for it. If you wanted to double check with agency marketing, you can. But we get photos and stuff all the time that they're fine with. They don't mind if you use your own photos and your own with text in them. The other thing for compliance is photos that have text you need to be careful with as well. They can be pretty picky about that, at least on the agent websites. And the reason for that is if it looks like when you upload the photo, someone's not going to be able to read that text, they'll usually deny it. Or if it's promoting some kind of event or fundraiser or something that's outdated, they usually deny that. And then the other thing is if you're trying to do some kind of promotion that is not okay in the compliance side of farmers, they'll deny that as well. So just be careful. You want to still follow compliance guidelines if you need them. Everybody should have a copy of the logo guidelines. I think you get a printout book, the same one that we have here. But if you need a copy of it, you can always call us or email us and we can send it to you so that we make sure that everybody has it. That'll have some photo guidelines in there for compliance. I see some agents have the Blue Vase Award logo or other certification logo on their farmer's website.
Is there...
How can we add ours?
Oh, okay.
So with the Blue Vase Award or other certifications, it really depends on what it is. If you have an upgraded website plan, so Premier, Silver, or Gold, you have the option of adding awards to your website, but it's limited to the Toppers Club, the President's Council, and the Championship Club Award. If you have something like a Blue Vase, or maybe you won an award for your city or your community, you can put those on the website as well, as long as we get verification of them in the form usually of a photo or a link online that shows us that you actually won that award. And what I usually recommend is to take a picture of it, put that up on your website, or get the logo and put that up on the website, and then just send us the verification if we need it. And we'll usually contact you about it if we do need that.
Cool. I think that's all the questions.
It looks like all the questions we've gotten. Does anybody have any more questions? Now would be the time to ask. If there's something we didn't cover or you want something covered a little bit more, you can ask that now. If not, and you come up with some questions later, please feel free to give us a call. Chris is going to go ahead and put our contact information up there right now for you guys. You can either call us, email us, hit us up on Twitter, whatever it may be. We're always available to answer your questions as long as it's between 8:30 and 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday.
That's right. And this wonderful presentation was done by me, Chris, and Jessica, you.
Me.
And thank you, Canva, for letting us use your awesome website. Thank you for the other websites, Paladin. We have so much to talk about when it comes to imagery. So who knows, we can make a part 2 where we dive a little deeper into all this, and we'll get to some of those answers that we mentioned we would email to some people. Reach out to us by phone or email with more questions you might have. And thanks so much for attending, and have an awesome day.